was going to say the only actress, well, actually, there's a lot of really good actresses right now. The actress who plays Jane, struggling with a lot of good acting, like opportunity, like Tatiana did with Orphan Black. I was
Yeah.
going to say that Jodie Comer as Villanelle in Killing Eve, like
Yes.
that
Oh my
same
God.
sort of
So
thing.
amazing.
Jane in Doom Patrol, Diane
Yeah.
DiCudiero, I think. Um, there's some really fantastic work by female actresses out there who have this, like, could do so much in a show. The reason I'm saying this, people who don't know, Villanelle dresses up and pretends a lot of other people. She is a villain,
Yes.
and
Well, a villain with a heart, I'd like to say, but yes.
she has no heart. It is cold and it is ice, and I love her. But like, I just she has such she gets to do such range. She has to work with such range in this show because she's both the villain and then she's pretending to be all these other people
Yeah.
to commit crimes. And similar in Orphan Black, the main character, the whole point was she found that she looked like a lot of other women, and they all kind of got together to figure out what was going on. And she played all these different women, and it was so well done that each one was different.
Right. It's
Um,
unique personality, it's unique character.
and similarly, in Doom Patrol, we've got Jane, Erica Jane, who is at some points she is those other people, those other actresses play, or actors, depending on
Yeah.
what it might be, play that personification of the character. There's a lot of really good actresses out there. This
Absolutely.
actually, was that the last news article?
Yeah, and I just, I mean, we can
Because
absolutely,
this brings
but
me to that rant I wanted to give at the end of the show.
well, before we get to your rant, I just want to
Okay.
say that I personally view this as a huge, huge. I mean, Disney has had some huge hits. There's no question. But on the TV side, this is a huge hit for them and their Disney Plus platform. I
Yet,
honestly
yet,
believe.
yet I want to say justice for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Disney, it exists. Bring it back. Justice for Luke Cage. Bring it back.
Well, the
All,
problem
all
with
these shows.
the problem with the Netflix shows is that they can't right now because they're still under contract, even though they're not being used. Netflix technically still owns at least as those characters were portrayed in those series by those actors. They're essentially, for complicated legal reasons, off limits to Disney until those current old contracts expire, which should be sometime this year or next.
Just for Cloak and Dagger.
Yes, which which wasn't a part of the whole Netflix package, which was a part of Marvel Television, which meant that they could continue to use them, which is why, even though they haven't in live action, they of course have been brought back numerous times for voice roles in various animated TV shows. To reprise their roles of Cloak and Dagger, voice wise in animated shows since the cancellation of that live action series. Just to be
I
clear.
did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, as well as being brought back for the stint in, of course, Runaways. But I believe they were used a lot in Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers, and yeah. So you might not see them, but they've definitely been used.
I think that Cloak and Dagger was one of the best Marvel series.
I
Beginning
concur.
to end.
Bring it back. Bring back Cloak and
Yeah.
Dagger. Bring back Gifted.
The Gifted
I
was
want
really
Gifted to
good.
come back.
Oh, that was just. I don't want to
Bring
spoil
back
anything.
Gifted.
I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen The Gifted.
Yeah.
But watch The Gifted. My personal favorite characters.
The
Were,
Cuckoos?
yes. Of course.
They were mine when they were first introduced in the comics, and oh my god, that show did such an amazing job translating them from pages of the comics
Yeah.
into the. They were just as
That's-
spooky and off-putting and whatever as they should be. They were so
One of
great.
the things I liked about it was how they did a good job of translating.
Yeah.
That's why I thought she was a great character. Actually, almost all the characters were fantastic. The twins were pretty cool. I liked
The
their
Strucker
story.
twins, yeah.
Um,
Polaris. The actress who
Yeah.
played Polaris, I felt like did a great job at that.
Thunderbird. I mean,
Freaking
come
fun.
on,
Yeah.
guys, you gave us stuff.
So, okay, I know you have a rant. Can I just quickly do a quick one before we get to yours?
Right, yeah, do your rant. Well,
So, I am a huge, huge X-Men fan. Have been since the 90s animated series introduced me to that world. Just can't get enough X-Men. I know I sometimes come off harsh or whatever regarding the live action movies. Some of them are good. Some of them, let's be honest, I'm looking at you, X-Men Origins Wolverine are a complete disaster. I feel like my biggest complaint regarding those is that anytime you try to translate one medium into another is going to be difficult and you're going to lose some things. To me, the Gifted TV series was one of the closest live action adaptations of the X-Men world as we know them in the comics that I have seen.
better than Legion.
I love Legion, and it did a great job of exploring that character of David Haller. But Legion kind of did its own thing in its own corner of the world, which was fantastic. But it's like, yeah, I mean, Gifted had Sentinels, it had the Strucker twins, it had all of that. But not only that, but it did such a great job of staying true to who those characters and those worlds were, which is what I loved. I love Gifted as well, but Gifted was so far removed from any of that.
Oh, it's such a great character.
But it really was, and it was such a great show. And that director, who's also does Fargo, Noah Hawley, I want something like that. Oh my God, yeah, love him. Sorry. So, what was your rant?
Oh, my rant. Well, first off, I want to say everyone should be tuning in for the 100th series finale coming up.
When is that? Do we have a specific date for that yet,
I
or?
believe it's this week.
Okay.
It's Thursday.
Okay.
But
So take the
keep an eye-
Dan DiDio's class, and then watch the finale of the 100. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, you should be watching the 100. You should be tweeting about the 100. We all love Juanita. That show. I'm so sad it's going away. I'm not sad that the prequel show
Never got picked up.
because I wasn't really be down for the prequel show.
Mm.
But if they took any of the characters from this show and put them in a spin-off, I would watch the heck out of that because I have come to love the 100. It is a fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, almost all on Netflix. It's great. It's got the strongest female characters you're going to see on TV, I guarantee you. And everyone is going to be badass. And it's unlike most CW shows, it actually addresses the trauma of what they're going through at some points. Not right away. I admit that there's a couple of seasons go by and people just are doing things,
But that's kind of like life, right? Like suffering the consequences or the traumatic ramifications of something doesn't always hit you right away. Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah. But when they do try to, they play it, they do a great job of all the tropes that you love, as well as adding some good depth and creating really strong, like I said, female. Like every woman in this is fantastic, and most of the men are also really egalitarian, forward-thinking. These are the people you want in your world, not the racist, sexist people you end up meeting on the street every day. Even though these people are going through hell, they all seem to deal with each other based on their abilities. And I appreciate that aspect of that show a lot, especially when it comes to entertaining young people. This is the type of young adult show that is fantastic. It shows you these people can be useful and great. It also shows merciless in the first few seasons, killing so many characters you think are going to be main dudes.
But in the name for the better good, right?
Yeah. I think the show is fantastic. I was with it all the way up to where they are now, and I will say it goes a little space happy, but it still stays, I think, pretty true to the core values of the show, and I think it's doing a good job wrapping up. But that wasn't what I wanted to talk about, actually.
Oh.
My rant was just going to be really quick on the 72nd primetime Emmy. And
Okay.
how they ignore a lot of really good television shows and performances. I want to point out just really quickly a couple of them I mentioned earlier.
Well, actually, Fizza,
Yeah,
can I just quickly make a quick suggestion?
sure.
I want our audience to stay tuned for your thoughts on the Emmys. I want to put that out there. But what do you think of leaving that for the very end of the show? Quickly doing the whole like, subscribe thing, and then the floor is lit. We end with the floor being all yours.
Okay, sure.
So stay tuned to find out what the Fizza has to say about the Emmys. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for another installment of We've Got Issues. Join us next week. Every week we bring you the highlights in comics and comic-related media. As always, I am your host, Evan, and joining me is my co-host, the Fizza. Be sure, if you love this episode, as I know you did, don't lie, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the little bell notification below so that you will be the first among all of your friends to know whenever a new episode goes live. Fizza, tell us about the Emmys.
Well, I feel like the Emmys, I don't want to say snubbed, but they missed a lot of really fantastic performances, television shows. Now, we looked this up earlier, and the Emmys take into consideration television shows that premiered between June 1st, 2019 and May 31st, 2020.
Right, and of course, the issue with that this year being that summer television into COVID, so you know.
Yeah. So some of these shows, I might be wrong on the dates, but I feel like I'm pretty solid on them.
Okay.
A couple of shows I just want to mention. And I'm going to start with saying these are the people I already talked about. Jodie Comer's performance as Villanelle in Killing Eve deserves an Emmy nomination. She's fantastic.
Absolutely. I love that show.
I mean, I love Regina King. I think she deserved it, but I think Jodie should have been in that category right alongside her. Killing Eve is a show with both American and European actors in it. Maybe it doesn't fit within the Emmy, preview.
I think that's the problem, to be honest. Sorry not to interrupt, but I think that's the issue with that show.
But it does, for does show on American TV eventually. I think it stars maybe. So I feel like Jodie really needs. She's fantastic. People just need to look at this performance. I want to say that Karen Baldwin, performance of Chantal Van Sant as Karen Baldwin in For All Mankind
Okay.
series, which was
And that's an Apple Plus series, right?
Apple Plus series, yeah, was also totally ignored. It had fantastic production. It was a really interesting sort of Elseworlds, if the Russians landed on the moon first story. Karen Baldwin being the wife of the astronaut, Chantal performed such a fantastic.
Do you happen to know which astronaut, like Lance Armstrong, or on the Russian side?
The Baldwin.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's Karen Baldwin. So anyway, Chantal does a friend, like perfect, like great, mind blowing performance. There's this one scene I wanted to bring up real quick, where she's so stressed out and she's talking with because it's a different universe. There are female astronauts. She's talking to the husband of a female astronaut, and their interaction together was priceless. Um, he convinced her to smoke pot. The performance is hysterical. And then, like, 2 episodes later, she's in tears because this is an alternate universe and anything can happen. And it's such a fantastic performance. For All Mankind, check it out, Apple Plus. I already mentioned Regina King. I feel like Jane Lynch was missed for performance and Miss Maisel. There was some Miss Maisel performances that were nominated in the Emmys, but Jane was not one of them. She played Sophie Lennon, the Amazon Prime. There's too many primes and pluses.
Yeah, I believe that's an Amazon show.
The marvelous Miss Maisel, just such a great job there. FX has a series called What We Do in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with it.
Yep, big fan.
Want to know a little people about it?
Sure. So, those kind of shows that were big in the 2000s, where they'd put a bunch of people into a house together and kind of watch their lives and interview them separately. Well, this is a very satirical take on that, except everybody living together are vampires. And if it's, of course, a show produced and brought to you by, Tiki Rachidi, is that? Yep. Who also did the movie. It spun off from that. So if you enjoyed the movie, definitely check out this show. How did I do?
You did great. What else have you done?
Well, for this audience, Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor: Love and Thunder,
yeah,
along with a lot of other things, too numerous to get into.
Show, it had some nominations as well, and I want to say that Natasha Demont, I can't pronounce her last name. I'm sorry.
We are butchering so many people's names tonight. Apologies go out to everyone.
Natasha D. As she plays Nadia on What We Do in the Shadows, she is. So I really liked the movie, but I didn't realize how imbalanced the movie really was until I saw a female character thrown into this group, and I was like, being a man and being oblivious to a lot of things as well. Not because I'm a man, for different reasons. But I sometimes forget like how close-minded a lot of older movies can be, how a lot of boys club movies tend to be.
Right.
And what we really need is more diversity, as obviously we all know. But seeing Nadia in this show, her, she's the best part of the show. Honestly, she's funny. Everyone, like, she is the she bounces off everyone so perfectly with their humor. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Matt, who plays her husband on the show.
Oh yeah, and he's been in like a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, I watch his I want to say BBC show, Year of the Rabbit.
Okay.
People haven't seen this show. It is weird as F.
What was that musical show he was in that I can't remember the name of? But a friend of mine, a roommate, actually turned me on to that years ago.
Barney was in a musical show.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He was on the IT Crowd for a while. Oh, and are you thinking of the Mighty Boosh?
Yes.
Yeah, the Mighty Boosh is fantastic. Matt Perry's been on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, his series Year the Rabbit is weird as F. I want to say the Elephant Man is a character, historical person, is a character on Year the Rabbit.
Okay.
So maybe that will set your expectations somewhere near where they need to be if you try to take a look at the show. It's fantastic.
What is that on?
That
Do we know?
Is a British show.
So BBC, assuming, or?
I think it's a BBC show.
Okay.
But in America, I think might be shown on Stars or something. I know they have a release for American audiences. Speaking of shows that were originally released in Britain and were released in American audiences, there's a series called Sanditon. And people who haven't heard of it, Sanditon.
Yeah, I'm one of those people who have never heard of this.
It's a TV series. Now, it might not be the fare for some of the people who watch this show, or this stock about this, but it is a Jane Austen unfinished novel that was made into a television series. So it was sort of a reimagining of a Jane Austen series with more story to it than was originally provided.
Interesting.
What's really interesting about this is it's got a couple black characters in it.
I don't know that much Jane Austen material, but that's kind of a unique thing for those stories, right? Usually there aren't.
People don't realize Jane Austen. That's all I'm saying. Like every one of her stories pretty much takes place during wartime, during the war with France.
Okay.
So a lot of her stories are maybe low key to a lot of people, but are social satire about politics as well as manners. It's more just than a play of manners. It's this social satire on both class system, war. There's so many layers to Jane Austen that it's amazing. She's amazing. Every one of her books, I just recently was, I want to say, forced to watch by a young lady I know, a film called The Lake House.
Okay.
It's an old rom-com.
Sounds faintly familiar. I feel like I've heard it, but I can't really place it.
It's got Bullock in it and what's his face? John Wick.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes. It's got the two of them in it, and they're trading letters through a mailbox that sends them through time.
I was. Yeah, that's the letters through time one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently watched this, and her favorite book in it, and they bring it up several times, and they talk about the book actually is Persuasion, and I got a recommendation to read that book like 2 years ago from someone I know, and it is the best Jane Austen book. It is fantastic. It is so many levels of just great. Sanditon is also so many levels of great, but it is someone taking this story and bringing it to audiences today. So it's a little different than even the treatments and the stuff that she wrote on her unfinished stuff, which you can find. You can totally get everything that Jane Austen wrote pretty much, except for the stuff they burnt. Because there were some things that they got rid of because they didn't want people to know. But yeah, it happened back in the day. But yeah, Jane Austen's amazing. Sanditon is great. It had one season, and it got canceled, sadly. It's there's a few shows that have happened to on this network in the UK, but it got picked up for American audiences through the PBS station, just like
Oh.
Downton Abbey did. And one season came out. The first one season came out here. The actress Rose Williams plays Charlotte Haywood in it. Charlotte is fantastic. Rose's performance is fantastic. The whole show is fantastic. There's a whole bunch of people online who are a Facebook group called Savoring Sanderton. There are Sanderton Sisterhood because they think only girls watch this. And I'm all for it. I like being in the minority in this situation. It's great to be part of both of these groups. And they're trying to bring this show back because COVID has allowed for a time people to maybe not need or maybe not go out and get those next jobs.
Yeah.
So there is still some opportunity out there that we're trying to get Amazon maybe to pick it up.
So I'm sorry if you already said, but what is this show about?
Okay, so Sanditon is the Jane Austen period piece. It takes place at a seaside village. So
Okay.
Jane herself spent a lot of time in Bath, which you may know as a place in the UK where people would vacation and go to relax.
So like kind of like a beach village or fishing village
like a place like if you're a fan of Jaws, it would be
like the Vineyard.
the island on Jaws.
Okay.
Jaws. I think it was the David Bay that I was thinking. I forget which. Anyway, so whatever the Jaws island was, which I can't remember right now.
Well, it was shot on the Vineyard. I don't know if it's been so long. I don't remember if it was referred to that, but yeah.
To pick up a big island name or something.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, so but yes, it was shot in the Vineyard. So if you like going to the Vineyard, it's similar to that. So that's,
Okay.
But it's back in the 1800s, obviously. And you meet these characters who all spent time at the sea. And the main character in this story is Charlotte Haywood, who comes from often you'll find that Jane Austen's female heroines come from large families of people who are of higher estate but don't have the means to live the way they should.
Okay.
And at the time there was this whole thing where they were kind of stuck because they would have to, if you earned certain levels, you still have to, by law, kind of hold certain servants, even if you couldn't pay them. It was just this crazy, insane system where you were kind of stuck if you were poor and rich. So a lot of her female characters come from these large families like that. So Charlotte is like 10 brothers and sisters or something, and they live up in the mountain east of England or something, or north of England. And she gets invited down to the seaside, and all these people mingle with different classes, different races. Like I said, there's some black characters in this show. One is a lady, and one is a person who is trying to bring forth the cause of black people's life in the colonies, because in the colonies, black people at this time are slaves. If you're not aware of that. So there was a law in England that there's no slaves in England. So any slave brought to England was immediately free. But the one woman is a ward of. Excuse me. Get me a drink of water.
So a lot of shows.
Yeah, so the one woman is a ward of an English gentleman, and she is brought into the mix, and it's just a fantastic show. Lots of fun, lots of
Okay.
dark aspects to it too. And for those people who like incest, there might be a little of that. So it's
All right.
it's a
An interesting thing to be into, I guess, but sure.
well, I mean, Game of Thrones fans, right? It's a very popular thing
There you go.
these days. Anyway, so
Jane Austen with incest. Jane Austen meets Game of Thrones.
no, it wasn't necessarily incest, but it's these whole like these different um, these um, groups of people who are hereditary um, rulers or controllers of these titles, of these lands, of these homes, of these societies, and it becomes this whole like who
Okay.
plays the who thing.
Well, it
It's
sounds very interesting. People should definitely check it out.
I don't know if American Gods will fit into the Emmys because I feel like that show is so I don't know when the heck the next season is coming out. But
Yeah,
I want to point out
that's
that Emily Browning, who played Laura Moon in that American Gods, was fan freaking tastic. I don't know why this actress isn't in everything. She's great. Georgina Campbell, Lyda from Krypton.
yes.
Another show which I would love to see come back.
Me, me too.
If
Especially
HBO
knowing where they were planning to go with that, I would love for it to
I
be
don't
brought
really
back
care
somehow
what
for
they
them
go
to
with
be
it.
able to
It's
do with
like,
that.
I felt the first season I was like, I don't know what's happening, and the second season I was like, I think I know what's happening, and I was like, no, this is great. I don't know what is happening. And I think that they should have just been left to do whatever. And I think the actress who played Lyda,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, her performance was so great. These female actresses are getting such great material right now. I mean, I'm not saying that they're getting the same pay as men or it's equal or anything, but I'm saying like there are some great performances by females
Yeah.
this year, and I think more of them should have been called out, especially at the Emmys. Georgina Campbell, she's fantastic in Krypton, and if we want to, save Krypton, hashtag save Krypton, HBO Max.
If you're
hashtag
listening,
Krypton. What?
yeah, HBO Max. If you're listening, you're picking up all of these other shows. Peacemaker is getting a series. Bring back Krypton. What are you doing?
I'm still mad that The Magicians is over.
Yeah. Not
but-
mad, just
Well,
sad.
I'm happy that the show lasted as long and did
Right.
well and ended as well as it did.
Same.
But I'm sad that it's over because it did need to be over.
Right.
I love that show. I love every character in it equally. A lot
Likewise.
of shows don't survive the lead character leaving, and I felt like this show did. I think it did a great job.
Yeah, if anything, they found a way to use that to almost strengthen that final season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that Margot and Summer Blish. Oh, I'm sorry. Summer Blish as Margot.
Yeah. Oh my God, Margot!
was
Like,
fantastic.
If you want-
she is a superhero
need to watch
awesome.
Magicians. That's yeah.
Yeah, everyone should be watching Magicians, and also HBO Max. You can pick this show up too. If you want. I would watch Margot for the rest of my life. She's amazing.
Likewise.
We already talked about the morning show before this began. But,
Which will be getting a season 2 at some point.
I guess so, yeah. But the actress who played Hannah, whose name I cannot pronounce.
Is that the Reese Witherspoon character or?
No, she's the woman who's the booking agent on the show.
Oh,
Her
okay.
performance was fantastic. She was also in a movie I love, a film called Fast Color. It is a superhero movie,
Hmm.
like the X-Men, except
Okay.
they don't hear us. It's more like X-Men struggling with powers kind of thing.
Kind of like X-Men if there was no Xavier.
Sort of, yeah. Like just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's great. She did a great job with that.
And What is that one called again?
Fast Color.
Okay.
And one more show I want to just point out that I freaking loved and got canceled. My ex-girlfriend, I hate her and I love her. Insatiable, Debbie Ryan, who some people might know from on a Disney series, I think was called Jessie.
Okay.
She played Patty. She played Patty in Insatiable, which was a show about someone who lost a bunch of weight, um, but they found out that really that weight was there because there's something inside them that was insatiable. Um, and every
So like
character
a
in this,
horror aspect,
a
or
what? A what is that?
you said they found out she had extra weight because there was something in. So
No,
like
no,
a
no,
horror
no.
aspect or a science fiction aspect, or what do you mean by that?
You, you misunderstood what I said. I said she lost a lot of weight, but afterwards she found out that why she gained the weight was because there's something inside her that's insatiable. Not like a monster, not like a creature, but
Oh,
like
like an
a
emotional need or desire
emotional
or something.
demon. Yes,
Okay. Okay.
insatiable. And
So
she
not like
infiltrated it.
not like that character again from Smallville. It.
No, no.
No. Okay.
It's again. It's not just like not just like Sanditon, but similar to Sanditon. It's the series that's based in basically reality.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting and deep, impactful, I think, series. It struggles with a lot of issues, and it does a fantastic job. Also, I think there's an actress in this who people might really like,
Hmm.
especially if they watched Who's the Boss as a kid.
Okay.
Um, and it's just a fantastic show, but it got canceled
Are
after
you
2
going to say
seasons.
who that actress is, or?
I'm going to leave it up to your imagination.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone
I'm
else
picturing
knows who it is.
what's her name, Melissa Milano. So that's me.
That's
That's
exactly
my.
who it is.
Really?
Yes, it's Insatiable. She plays.
I mean, me and so many other children, I'm sure, but I had such a crush on her when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. You'll find that not just Patty, but a lot of the characters in Insatiable are insatiable. There's something inside them that they need to fill.
Okay.
And Patty at one point it was food, and then after she gets thin and becomes pretty, quote unquote, she deals with her insatiable needs in different ways. And a lot of people around her are doing the same. Patty joins the pageant scene to try to show people up. Insatiable is fantastic. It is dark.
And that's a
It is.
Netflix series, right?
It's a Netflix show. It's
Okay.
dark. I immediately, kind of recognized Debbie Ryan's acting and comedy style as someone being from that Disney sort of Zendaya kind of acting style.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
watch
yeah.
a lot of Disney stuff.
Very
Um,
chipper, very bubblegum. Not there's anything wrong with that.
The
Yeah.
way their banter is,
Right.
the type of thing. And not to say that that's bad. I enjoy Day and a lot of those actresses and actors from Disney shows. I watched and loved High School Musical, the series, um, and there was a lot of that type of acting in there. But no, so I immediately recognized Debbie Ryan's acting style as being something Disney related, and she was Jessie. But I think that's what makes it even more powerful. You see this person who seems Disney in this dark, and when I say dark, I mean you don't know how dark this show gets. I want to say like it sounds like it's going to be just a kind of dark comedy, but
Yeah.
it's really effed up in so many ways.
Okay.
And it's great how crazy it is. Debbie Ryan, I fell in love with how she did this performance. For Patty, Patty Fidel was great. I would love to have seen another couple of seasons of the show. Sadly, ended before its time. But that doesn't mean, honestly, with some shows I would say don't bother because, like, because it's all gone, you never get more. But I would say with Insatiable, you have 2 seasons, and it is so
Do you feel
incredibly
like
charming.
do you feel like the season 2 finale, knowing what we know now, kind of also works as a series finale? Do you think people will watch that and be
You
satisfied?
know what? No, I don't think they will be satisfied, but I think that's what will make them. That'll be even more poetic because it's sensational,
Right, it'll
right?
leave them wanting more.
So and they'll be able to write their own stories in their head canons if they want. But honestly, I don't think it's a great ending if you want closure. But I'm also someone who likes the ending of Lost, so closure isn't something I necessarily need.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the story getting places and learning more about the characters. It was a fantastic, and I say dark piece because I don't mean for anyone who might be triggered. There is murder, there is casual disregard for human frailty, there is shaming, there is suicide. In fact, the first episode starts with someone about to shoot themselves in the head.
Okay.
And with that being said, I did, and I think you will freaking fall in love with it. Insatiable. It is a fantastic show. It was on Netflix. It is
So
still
definitely check
available.
that out.
Like it will be forever. I know everyone watches The Expanse, but I also want to point out that no one from The Expanse got a nomination in the Emmys. Like, what's up with that, Emmys? The Expanse is one of the best shows on TV.